New South Wales has been promised once-in-a-generation reforms in today's state budget. The Treasurer says it's all about creating prosperity, but the opposition has labelled it a spending spree. To break it all down, here's state political reporter Ashley Raper. Ashley.
Going into today, Juanita, the government had made so many commitments, and that's been reflected in the budget bottom line. Next year's deficit is set to be $11.3 billion, more than 3 times what was forecast just 6 months ago. The government says that's due to investment in the health system, its response to COVID and devastating floods, but also the spending on rebates and schemes to help with the cost of living pressures. The budget still predicts a return to surplus in 3 years, generated by more GST revenue, an increase in mining royalties and phasing out COVID and disaster relief. The state has ended the year in a better position than expected, shaving almost $3 billion off the deficit. That was in part because stamp duty revenue increased to $14 billion, but it is expected to decrease with a slowdown in the market. Net debt is forecast to be $78 billion next year, which will balloon to $114.8 billion in 4 years, 14% of gross state product. In one budget, Matt Kean is eyeing a legacy.
This budget is about reform.
After big promises to overhaul childcare and early education, the reform to stamp duty is rather modest. First home buyers will be given a choice to pay stamp duty or an annual land tax when the home is worth less than $1.5 million.
This is the first step in making sure that we start testing the waters for tax reform in New South Wales.
Reform long-term has been matched with rebates in the short term. $2.2 billion worth of new schemes have been added in this budget. $193 million will go to a new one-off $150 payment for every school child next year. The money is for uniforms, shoes or supplies. It'll be available between January and June.
We know that there are huge challenges for families when it comes to cost of living, and the cost of getting kids back to school is a big one.
The big spend on infrastructure continues, and in this budget there's money committed to the second stage of the Parramatta Light Rail. For Metro City South West, there's an additional $5.1 billion over the next 4 years, blowing out the cost after already spending $12.9 billion.
The hangover effect of COVID has meant that there are market capacity constraints, which is pushing up the cost of our infrastructure program.
It's a government remaining true to form, but trying to reinvent itself at the same time.
I think it is set up for some significant reforms that will lift long-term growth in New South Wales, but it does come with some short-term risks.
My real fear is if they get re-elected, we'll have an austerity budget straight after the election closes, because the assumptions that underpin so much of this spending are completely heroic.
The government is relying on more GST and mining royalties. It's also boosting its revenue stream by increasing the gambling and betting tax. And it plans to save $500 million by making cuts to the public service.
There won't be any cuts to frontline services. This is us asking the public service in the back office to also support the government and the people of New South Wales get back on their feet.
Some austerity among some big spending. Ashley Raper, ABC News, Sydney. The Premier's signature policy is replacing stamp duty with land tax, but it's going to be a slow transition. It'll only be available to some first home buyers from next year. Phoebe Bowden takes a deeper look at how it will work.
As a real estate agent and prospective first home buyer, Ryan Delusag thinks replacing stamp duty with land tax for people trying to enter the market has merit.
Come on in.
Being spread out over a longer period of time, it helps me personally with not having to put up as big of a deposit.
The land tax is a $400 fee plus 0.3% of the land value paid annually. It applies to properties up to $1.5 million from January. So for a $1.35 million home with a land value of $810,000, the choice is between nearly $60,000 stamp duty or almost $3,000 land tax each year. For apartments, the deal is better because the land value is less. For an $830,000 property, the choice is either more than $32,000 in stamp duty or an annual payment of about $1,200.
So it's a significant upfront saving, enabling people to get into the property market sooner than they otherwise would have.
The state government wants to roll back stamp duty further, but it would lose billions, and the federal government doesn't want to cover the shortfall.
We need to recognise that we don't have billions of dollars lying around to compensate states for the decisions that they take.
The state government says 55,000 people a year will benefit, but the opposition claims the actual figure is a fraction of that because most first home buyers already enjoy a stamp duty exemption.
Why introduce a brand new land tax system for New South Wales, one we've never had before, rather than just extending the exemptions to allow people to pay no land tax at all?
And there's not much relief for those renting or on low incomes.
We've got an impossibly tight rental market, and unfortunately those at the bottom are being pushed out altogether.
Advocates say those who need the most help haven't received it in this budget. Phoebe Bowden, ABC News, Sydney.